Hey, mental health warriors, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to tune in. I'm super excited if you watch my Facebook Live video to have Kyle on from Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. I'm actually wearing one of their t-shirts. It's great. He's actually down in the Virgin Islands, so I'm a little jealous of him right now. But, before we jump into it, I just want to say, hey, be sure and go out to VeteranTrashTalk.com, visit our store where we have all of our merch. I have my Veterans Trash Talk t-shirt out there. You can't see the Mustang because of my green screen. But like I say all the time, it has a crisis number on the back. So you never know when you walk by somebody, if they're in crisis, they might not know to text that number 741-741. It's going to be a super exciting show. Veterans Trash Talk teamed up with the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. Kyle did his bike ride across the United States. I'll let him talk about that. I don't want to steal his thunder. But what the foundation's doing, he's going to explain that some to you, but it's really great what they're doing and being able to team up with Veterans Trash Talk. And I know he's been kind of recovering from everything and staying busy. So I really appreciate him coming on. But before we jump into it, hey, listen, summer's winding down, school's starting to start back up again. That becomes a stressful time for parents, a stressful time for kids. So, just take that moment for yourself, take that moment for your kids, while school shopping, we're doing all that stuff. This year, I'm moving my oldest son down to college. He starts college next week, so we'll be moving him down. And then the following week, my little one starts his school. So just keep all that in mind. It's a stressful time. Just, be sure to take that moment for yourself and for your family. And so the school year will start off great and awesome. And with that, I want to introduce, we have Kyle Bigby. Is that correct? I say correct name? Yeah, from Ultimate Sacrifice. And the guy in the corner there in the red t-shirt, that is my producer, Kevin. He's going to join us today.
What's up, guys?
He took a little time off from his school to jump in. If you guys don't know, if you watch the podcast, Kevin's left one career and he's starting his own new career, which is awesome in filmmaking. And, it's just pretty good. It's always good to try to improve yourself and find something new. You guys know that I've been talking about, and I don't know if you have done this before, Kyle. I started doing yoga. And it's amazing. It's funny to laugh at, but it's amazing.
No, I heard it's really good for you. I need to do some too myself.
Oh, I'm shocked by it. I had a lady on. She did Monica Baker. She's a yoga instructor, and I went to school with her. She's 2 years older than me. And so when I was in Missouri on vacation, I went to her studio, Sweat Studio, and actually did yoga for the first time. We'll have a podcast on that. We filmed it, right. But I did restorative yoga, and I just felt amazing afterwards. And so I went back again because my older son, who was filming, wanted to do a session. The second session was a lot more relaxing. And then come out here to Virginia, I found a studio and I started doing it out here. So I'll go on Fridays. So this week I'm concentrating on doing my normal workout and then yoga on Fridays and see how that does with all the stretching. But I have issues in my back. I got injured in Iraq and I get Botox in my back. And I'm towards the end of my Botox wearing off in the last 3 months. And I'm not having the issues I normally have when that occurs. And so I'm really surprised and excited to see how this yoga thing works out. If you watch me in class, it's completely hilarious because I'm sure I'm not doing the poses correctly and things, but everybody's always so nice and they correct you. And just like Monica says, if you've never done yoga before, you want to go in person so you make sure you're doing the movements correctly, and then from there you can do it online if you want.
I mean, it might look easy, but I know it's not. I done a couple poses and I'm sweating. I'm about to pass out. It's hard.
Yeah.
I've always been a little scared of yoga, but not for the reasons you might think. I'm a little gassy, and I always picture myself like, curling the wrong way and laying somebody out, man.
Just gonna put you in the back corner.
Yeah. I live in a small town, bro.
They burn the last one I went to, they burned sage before you started, and then at some point we were doing stretches where we had to lay on a pillow, and she had put in these lemongrass face cloths on the pillow, so you'd lay there smelling lemongrass as you're doing the stretching. So they could just spray a little bit extra around your area, Kevin, and then that way it would.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, hey, that lemongrass is past its sell-by date, guys.
It must have went rancid or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But hey, Kyle, I was very impressed with your bike ride that you did going from, Boston to San Diego. You know, one thing I want you to talk about as you're telling your story, and it really touched me as somebody who's a suicide survivor who, you know, has lost friends and that thing. And that's why I like the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation so much and what you guys are doing. I truly connected with you on that video when you were talking about it. And I don't want to leave too much in. I want you to kind of tell that story. But that, and I think I messaged you on Facebook too, and I think you answered me back. But you know, that raw emotion that you had, we all feel it as veterans. And it's just as human beings, you know, anybody that suffered from PTSD or had other issues, when you get to that moment. And it was very touching. And I'm really happy that you shared that, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that video that touched them in a good, positive way. But with that, Kyle, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about Ultimate Sacrifice. Let's talk about your bike ride, and then let's just go from there.
All right. Well, my name is Kyle B.A. I recently just rode my bike from Boston, Mass to Coronado Island Beach and near San Diego. Yeah, it was like 3,700 miles, maybe even more, because I got lost a lot. And yeah.
How many miles a day did you ride?
Depends on the terrain, really. Like in the beginning, I was in Pennsylvania. I was probably getting like 60 to 70, or trying to, sometimes 50, you know, just because I was in like the Appalachians. So it was every day. It was like on hills. It was kind of like if you ever been to Kentucky, how it's all just like.
Well, I drive from Virginia to Missouri all the time, you know, 64.
So it's like for 10 days, it was like that. For 10 days, I was just doing this all day for like 10 hours a day. So, and that was the first part of the trip, you know. But after I got to the flatlands, like, I think the easiest states were like Indiana, Ohio, and I was averaging like 90 to 110.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but then I passed that and I got to Kansas, and it was just like the wind never stopped.
Yeah, no,
so,
it doesn't.
I thought Kansas was going to be easy. Yeah, but Colorado was another one.
Oh yeah, that was worse than the Appalachians. The Colorado the mountains are a lot higher.
I don't know, because the Appalachians were like every day was that. Colorado was like 2 days of hills like that, but it was also like Colorado had a lot of weather. Like I was getting hailed on. Rained on, snowed on. I was in the middle of a blizzard on at Copper Mountain.
Wow.
So when I got down Vail Pass, the guy that I was with, JC Callahan, he had to pour hot water on my gears just so I could shift the bike again.
Wow.
And then I did like another like 50 miles to get the 10th Mountain whiskey that day. Like it was just, the miles just vary. It was the terrain and the weather. It all matters. So it was tough. Because even if it was flat, if the wind was against me, it just sucked. I couldn't go anywhere.
Well, anybody, you know, and I used to mountain bike race when I was a kid. You know, when I was younger, I did that a lot there in the Ozarks in the mountains. But yeah, I couldn't imagine. But yeah, you're right. When the wind's blowing a certain way, you're going through the mountains or this, the other, all that kind of. So how did you mentally? You know, as you're driving along, the weather could have been fine when you started out that day. And then by that afternoon or evening, it just completely went to shit and you're tired. How do you keep your focus on, you know, riding that bike? And, you know, because you have to pay attention to the road, to cars passing you and all that stuff. So you don't have an accident. I mean, it's pretty amazing what you did and was able to get as where you got to without anything major happening.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even get hurt. I mean, my last trip, I broke my collarbone on day 2.
Oh, wow.
So I went through like 4 bikes. I didn't even have to change the tires once on this bike. But what kept me going, I mean, you know, to honor my friend Anthony Maddox, you know, his parents were on my side. I met him in Bloomington, Illinois. So it was like I had them on my back. And I mean, this time around, I had so much support. So it's like, you know, even no matter what I'm feeling during the day, whatever the weather's doing and how much I'm, you know, how much I'm hurting, how much my knees like can't pedal anymore. You know, I just kept thinking like that, you know, this isn't for me. You know, people are watching, people, you know, it's kind of hope for some people. So I'm like, I can't get, you know, you can't give up. You just got to keep going. And, you know, I had to keep telling myself, I really never thought of quitting, but I mean, there's some days I definitely wanted to throw my bike off a cliff.
Yeah.
Just because everything that could go wrong went wrong on that. It's so hard. I wish I had a like GoPro on me the whole time, is because
Oh yeah.
just the terrain, the weather, the little roads I had to drive by, because there's huge semi trucks. I was on a highway of, I had this much space. You see, from the road, and the trucks were blowing me off the road. Like I almost snapped my handlebar off in one video, because I was going straight and trucks go right by me and it blew me off the road. It happened to me like 5 times.
Wow. That's something a lot of people don't realize is, you're dealing with the weather and the traffic of these big tractor trailers. And, sometimes going downhill, these guys are hauling butt. I mean, they're not
exactly. And they, especially if it's raining, they can't see you, and any one small mess up of me not paying attention, me being too tired and just looking down and not seeing what's ahead of me at all times, like you could die. I could not see a car go right in front of me. I'd have to swerve, but I'm like off a mountain, off a mountain cliff, or a truck, because a lot of people don't pay attention to bikers.
Right.
So, they can go really, really close to you, and and that you'd break your entire body.
Yeah. That's
you have to look out for everything, even animals. I mean, I passed a bear, like it was a huge black bear. So it's like, you just have to be aware at all times. It occupies your whole mind. So I didn't have a lot of time to think about like, oh man, this sucks, I'm thinking about quitting. No, I'm like, I need to survive, the day so I can do it tomorrow.
So, I have a couple of guests come on that were marathoners, and one guy that did Ironmans. So nutrition wise, because I know this is going to come up, what did you use to keep yourself fueled up during the run and while you were riding? I mean, do you take the gel packs and other stuff, or?
Actually, I mean, I didn't even know what they were at first, the gel packs.
They're amazing.
But, I started using those.
I use those at work now. They're amazing.
They're tasted, the salted caramel ones, or?
Yeah. Are you like me and you're sucking? Are you sucking that last little bit out?
Yeah. I look like the golem,
Oh yeah.
But you need the calories,
For sure.
The first couple of days I wasn't eating right, and my whole body seized up.
Yeah.
And you gotta, once that happens, you can't ride. So drinking water is like really important. Gatorades, get all the electrolytes in. You just have to eat. And what my bike trainer said, you don't eat when you're hungry, eat before that happens.
Yeah.
So I was eating like every hour, just whatever, Cliff Bars, just anything with, a lot of carbohydrates to keep me going.
That's pretty amazing. And was there any one particular that you liked other than the salted caramel?
There was some it was like dark chocolate. It was
They're all good. Cliff's gonna go buy some just to eat them.
Yeah, I know. Virgin Islands,
I never had it.
We don't have a big sporting goods, so kind of out of the loop here.
So Kyle, if I can come in for just for a second, because when most of us face adversity in our daily lives, that's the ratio of time we get down to, is a day at a time. Most of us in our normal walk in life, unless we're facing some serious adversity, can a day at a time works. But in your case, surely you must have had to micromanage that even down to this hill, I mean, how much no way, I'm not buying just a day at a time work for you is what I'm saying. Like, how extreme did that get?
All right, well, yeah, I mean, I don't have any, I see it as like one of my skills. Like, I don't really have a quit in me, but
nice.
But yes, the hills, I mean, you do count the hills, but sometimes that's demotivating, because every hill, there's another one. Because, I mean, in the Appalachians, I mean, you climb this hill, and I had no leg power at that time. So I had to walk up each hill and then ride down my bike. And then once you're on the top of the hill, you see another one. Imagine that for like 8 hours. That's your day. Like, you're thinking, oh, it's going to stop. No, and you kind of have to laugh at it. In one day, you say, hey, it'll be flat eventually, this day sucks, but it's gonna get better. You're doing the worst right now. It's gonna get better. It has to. And you know what? And it always was. I mean, I've had a lot of crappy days, but I just always had the outlook of, you know, it will get better. It will. There's no doubt in my mind. I just believed it, like 100%. I believed this is going to get better, and I always did.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised by the support you got throughout the journey? Because I mean, it was incredible in my opinion.
It was more people than I mean, my last trip I had like a couple hundred. I mean, this was like thousands, you know, and people reaching out saying like, "Oh, thank you for doing this." You know, my dad, you know, was in this for. Thank you. You know, it was just like so much. Like I didn't know how to like even talk back because there was just so many people just reaching out and saying like how it's helped and like keep going, you know, stay with the fight. And it's just like, it just blew my mind. It's like, whoa, you know, like this is actually doing something for people, you know, and you can say it as much as you want, you know, like I'm doing this for people, but like once somebody says that to you, like it changes, it changed the whole trip, you know, it was just huge. Like, and it really, I mean, it's always even in my last one, I keep referring to that one, but with this one, it's the people that keep you going. That's what it is. I could have quit 1,000 times, you know, but like people are like rooting you on, and you see how it's helping, and like the future help it's gonna bring, you know, for the foundation and stuff. It's just, it's just wow, you know. I don't have any words for it. It's just wow, and it's so motivating.
You know,
so motivating.
I will agree with you 1,000% because, you know, I've been doing speaking events for a long time. When I go out and do speaking events and people take that moment and that time to come up and talk to you and share those stories with you, it's very humbling. And you want to be very respectful of them and opening up. And it does become a motivating factor to want to do more, to help more, and to keep pushing forward. But I heard there was a rumor out there that you almost got kidnapped. Is that true on your trip?
Oh, yeah. That's 100% true.
You want to care to indulge us on that?
Yes. So I even remember the town. That's how much it scared me. I've been to like 1,000 towns. So, yeah, I was in Plymouth, Ohio, and I was just, you know, just like every other day, just riding my bike in these little podunk towns, and yeah, so I was just going down the road and I saw this green, it was like a green Jeep or almost like a Bronco, but smaller. So past me, I'm going this way, the truck's going this way. And then I see it turn around. And I thought it was right after like we did the Boston thing, and we did a couple interviews with like the news. So I thought it was somebody who knew me, you know?
Right.
I thought it was like, oh, you saw me on the news, you know, like I was totally ready to just like have a conversation and stuff like that. And it was just instant. He hopped out of his Jeep, well, next to his house or somebody's house. And he was just like, hey, you want to have coffee with my wife? And I'm like, no.
That's a total random thing to say to a guy on a bike.
You know, like I had a bag. I had my pannier bags on my bike. And it's just like, no, I'm doing this thing for a foundation, you know. And but the thing is, his hand was bleeding. Like he had a big cut. Like he held it, but blood was dripping down his hand. But he didn't notice it. Like he didn't act like it fazed him at all. So I'm trying not to look at that because obviously he's not fazed with it. So I'm getting a little scared. And I'm like, he's like, come on, just come inside the house. And I'm like, no, dude, you gotta go. But, you know, thank you, you know. And he's like, all right, well, I can tell you're busy. And then it comes for a fist bump. So I'm like, all right, see, dude. And then once I do this, he opens his hand because we were going like this, and then he goes like this. And he starts pulling me. I'm just like, oh my God, because he was a mountain of a man. He's a big dude. And but it wasn't like a straight pull, like he wasn't like yanking me. He was just like slowly, come on, like still asked me if I wanted to go into his house. And I'm like, dude, I can't, you know, like, and he's like, I'm like, well, I have a tracker in my bag. And if it does the backward steps to it, the thing goes off and people come and get me, you know?
Yeah. Nice.
And I didn't know what to do.
Nice.
So, and then once he said that, he let go and he's like, all right, well, yeah, safe travels. Something God watches you or someone will always be watching. I'm like, well, I'm going to be watching you for the next 2 hours behind me because I'm afraid you're going to run me over.
Wow. That's crazy.
How many miles did you do that day, man?
A lot. That was my 100 miles.
Rode all the way to Illinois.
That was the most miles I did. And I wasn't even tired. I was still freaking out when I landed, when I got to the trailer. Like I was
that's the equivalent of a dog chase. If you've ever had a dog chase you on a bike, I bet you that's the equivalent.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks, but I survived, honestly. But yeah, that was a weird one.
So, is that your dog, Kevin, or is that his dog? It's okay, dogs.
Yeah, we all got dogs.
If your kids come in, Kyle, that's perfectly fine. I'm sure. I'm surprised mine hasn't popped in yet.
My kids are on the boat.
Oh, are they on the boat? Oh, that's right. You missed the boat. That's right. We talked about that. Yeah. All right.
Look at you giving up a boat trip for us, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
So Kyle, like, man, so I've never done anything like, obviously, like what you've done, but I'm trying to put myself in positions where, like, I've been alone with my thoughts, and quite honestly, fortunately or unfortunately for me, a lot of times that was a work, because as a machinist, I'd be like doing giant power generation equipment that was just going to run, right? And you can't help but that's when you've got to deal with that inner voice, good and bad. I'm not saying, plans, you know what I'm talking, but when you're isolated, I guess is what I'm trying to say, truly isolated, for hours and hours and hours at a time. Like how did you deal with that? Both the highs and the lows of that?
I mean, like you said, isolation. I mean, it's like, for me, I mean, I like it, but like, it's when, like, so when I was out there, it's like, it kind of like my mind played tricks on me a lot. Especially like with my mental health, and I'm out here trying to figure stuff out, and usually like the struggle helps out, but a lot of the times I was struggling on the road, just thinking about just everything that's happened, what happened to Maddox, and it's making me like, just like, I don't even have the words for it, but
hey, brother,
it just made it, the isolation on that trip, like I've had a lot to think about because a lot of things were happening.
Right.
It really, I didn't work much out, and I was really troubled most of the trip with the isolation part, because it was just, I was replaying things in my head, and I'm trying to get it out.
We got you, brother. We got you. You're talking. Listen, brother, you're talking to every single veteran out there without even saying a word right now. So don't you think we don't know what those words are, man?
Yeah, it was a lot of time in your own head.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
because that's for anybody that's hard to spend. So let me put that a little bit more into perspective. So for me, through as I said, my mental health warrior brother Cliff Bowman, I called him before the show, he's my mental health superhero, because I never started even addressing or acknowledging. I'd acknowledge, not true, through Veteran Trash Talk and that brotherhood. I acknowledged, okay, shit happened to me when I was a kid that going into adulthood, I'm like, look at me. It didn't affect me because I'm not repeating the behaviors. Look at me, I'm good. And in my case, it was my parents being alcoholics, and not that I got the beat. It was kind of more of a neglect thing. And actually, the troubles for me came in when they sobered up and wanted to be parents. Dude, I fucking hated it. But the point being, you don't go through all that shit as a kid and come out the other end at not being addressed and it not affect your life. And I waited until the age of 55 to fucking do something about it, dude.
Yeah, I hear you.
But again, I'm not a combat veteran, so anything that you bring from before, I used to think that because you didn't repeat the behavior, you dealt with the trauma don't affect you, you're steeled for future trauma, when in fact science shows the opposite is true. If you have childhood trauma like me, you have no weapons that a mentally healthy person has to deal with.
I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I think my childhood trauma, I think it's messed me up more than anything that I've ever dealt with. And when they combine, like, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't. I'm just, I'm freaking out. And with mine, I never dealt with it. I always thought, hey, it's fine. It happened to me. It happened. It's over. That stage of your life is over, especially with like the neglect thing.
Right.
It was just like everything. So like with the trust issues, everything from like my childhood, it comes up, and it's just like, and you don't have no like coping. I have no like healthy coping mechanisms to even combat that. So it's just like I'm digging deeper, like as I'm trying to figure it out with the isolation and all that. Like it's all hitting me at once, and I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So usually it comes in, I'm attacking people that don't need to be attacked. I'm just like a complete.
I'm laughing. It's so true. It's so true. It's
and it's always the people that are closest to you. I threw away like my marriage and all that. I threw it away.
Yeah, bro.
So that trauma changes you. Yeah.
It's tough because, and Kevin and I, and we all talked about this on the show and we had a good friend of ours, Rachel, was on, and she talks about this because she says that when you have childhood trauma and then you have trauma as an adult, if you don't fix the childhood trauma first, you'll never be able to fix the issues that you have as an adult. And that makes a lot of sense because you brought it up. You always go back to that moment as a child when something happens, and then it brings on other things. And when you're in self-isolation, and you don't have to be riding a bike across the United States or what Kevin was talking about, right. You could be alone in your room drinking, or self-isolating to have those thoughts and how to deal with them. And that's one of the things that I try to do with Mental Health Warriors, try to get people to think about different ways and getting help and different ways on how to deal with those. Because let's face it, guys,
healthy ways,
yes. Right? So PTSD never rears its ugly head when things are happening good, right? If things are good in your life and things are rosy and everything's going 1000% great, it's not bothering you.
Oh, you could push those problems aside, Yep. Hey, it's not bothering me right now.
But, PTSD is in your mind, and I talk about this, and it's just like a sniper laying there, right? And he's just going to creep around and creep around and creep around, and then all of a sudden it's going to jump up into your head. And then how do you deal with that in an effective manner and a positive manner? And that's the hard thing to do because everybody's different. Right. So what works for Cliff Bauman may not work for Kyle, may not work for Kevin, but we have to find a mix of those that work. I enjoy working out. I enjoy running. That helps me with my ADHD and all the other issues and problems that I have with my TBI. Obviously, Kyle, you like riding bikes and doing other things that you enjoy, but when you can't do those and you're having those issues, it makes it that much more harder to deal with it and understand it. And I think the hard thing is to understanding, understanding why did this happen? Why am I going this way? Why do I feel this way? Why
am I acting this way after
you're upset?
Or not appropriate to the situation, I have a lot of problems.
or in my case, the response being way extreme to it doesn't match the actual what a reasonable response would be.
Yeah, it's just it's like way inappropriate,
Yeah, and I don't have science to back me up on this. This is just I came to this conclusion, and it's definitely that whole childhood thing is because we never learned how to express those rages in a healthy manner.
Yep.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is the rage of a child with the
yes, you're in a child.
It's a tantrum. It's a child. It's a tantrum that a child would have. But now you're this like
because you got stunted.
I'm doing I'm doing a sheetrock job right now, and this ain't no bullshit. I'm doing a sheetrock job right now because I'm good at it, and there's only one reason I'm good at it, and I'll let you fucking figure that out.
Yeah, I get it. I'm picking up what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got very good at sheetrock too, patching the holes in the house. I get mad at myself.
That's it. It's so stupid, dude.
My name's Kyle, so you know what I'm good at.
That's great.
But something else that's hard to deal with is, it's it's trying to figure out the why, right? You know, we talked about that some. We can understand it to a point, but really, why does this happen to me on this day? Or why does it have to happen when this happens? Or why does it have to happen on any other? And that's the hard part, you know.
Just kind of like realize the situation or assess the situation, you know, while it's happening, kind of. Or
Yeah, you know, because like for me, like you know, I was pinning on 9/11. I don't know if you know my whole story. Spent 18 hours in there, never found anybody alive. A year later, through a progression of PTSD, I attempted my life in Kansas City at my brother's house. And had he not found me, I wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, I talk about that. I mean, I went from A and as close as you can get without completing that everything can get, right? And so how did that happen? The thing that scares me the most in the why is, when I was growing up as a child, we never talked about problems. I never saw my father cry. We grew up on a farm. That was just saying. So when I started having problems and didn't understand them, I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to express that. And so then when I was command directed into counseling, because I was having issues at work, I was in uniform. You know, back then they put you on orders for 60 days and kicked you out. So, you know, what am I going to do? I'm going to lie to my therapist to get that check mark, you know, to you know, go be fit, which was the absolutely wrong thing to do. And I never did figure out what I have now, but you know, back then you don't figure that out. And so when I went to my therapist, I just lied to him. So my problems didn't get any better. I got better at masking them. And so now I would hide my drinking that I was doing at night. And so I would do things differently. And then I was at work, I would try to, you know, go back to being that happy-go-lucky guy I was, right? But each one of those things add a layer of stress onto you, right? And so you can only hide that for so long. You know, one thing I talk about, huh?
When you do hide it, you know, it's gonna come up. You know,
yeah, and that's the problem. And then it comes, like you said, it's a molehill, it becomes a mountain.
Yeah, it can become a bigger one than you can fix.
Yeah,
especially when you're hiding it from yourself, like in my case.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people are aware they're man, you know, just, I mean, let's call them what they are, abusive behaviors, because what I had to come to terms with myself, finally, you know, and thank goodness I got a patient wife, is that, you know, my thing was always this thing, Kyle. I mean, you saw me. What? Who can be scared of me? I'm just this little short, fat old guy. Nobody can be scared of me. But I think, dude, I've seen that fear in people's eyes when I get to that blind rage that makes no sense to even me, you know. And it ain't cool, you know. And I'm done with that part of my life. But God damn, if it didn't visit me last night out of the blue, that sniper just waiting for you to, you know, expose a weakness and make. But the thing is this time I don't feel like I took a step back. It's just a thing. So I'm gonna deal with what happened yesterday in the appropriate way at the appropriate time. I mean, it wasn't over, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not getting to that portion of it, but what I'm saying is my mindset is not going to change where if I have, because it's not a setback. It's just because you're gonna, with proper mental health, professional mental health counseling, and a group of peers that support you, you strive to have positive mental health, dude. That's, Kyle, I've said, maybe you can relate to this, because I think I get from you that we're happy. We think we're happy being alone, but you know, not. And I mean, especially so. But here's the thing: since I got with Veteran Trash Talk, I said veterans don't know what's missing in their lives until they put other veterans in their lives, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, do I like being alone? Like, do I? You know,
like I would have said yes.
You know, like, I don't know if I actually do. You know, it's a thing I say to be like, you know, I'm good, man. You know, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right.
There you go. You know, I can watch TV for 12 hours. Don't worry about
it. I'll just keep running away from every place I've ever lived, and, you know, self-destruct to myself, and then talk myself into saying, hey, you know, I just like being alone. That's what it is. I'm meant to be alone, you know, without even fixing the problem. I'm just running from everything, because that's what I used to do as a child. I ran away a lot.
It's a habit.
I'm still doing it today, you know.
It's a hard habit to break, bro.
Yeah, it's like without the purpose, like without the ride and all that. Like that's why I do those things, is because it keeps my mind occupied and I'm doing so, I'm doing some good instead of, because when I'm not, like I'm not doing that great.
Yeah.
When I don't have a purpose and I have too much time in my head, I will like I destroy everything I build up. I do it all the time. So it's kind of like I need to be conscious of, hey, like, maybe I don't like being alone. I need a project. I need to do some good, because that helps me. So it's like it's like a new coping mechanism that, I figured out on my last trip. And I didn't know that, I threw away everything. And then I went on that ride for Maddox for my last trip from Tilton, New Hampshire to his grave in Houston. And, figuring out how that helped people actually helped me, helping people like help me, and it just made me whole. But without that stuff, like I don't do that great at all.
I don't either. I am a sociable person as much as I like to think I'm not. Right. And that's one thing I like about doing the podcast, is that when I'm not doing my speaking events or doing those kinds of things, I can still kind of have that interaction that kind of helps me, because it's the preparation, it's trying to get people to come on the podcast, it's the talking before, it's getting to know different people. So like you said, it gives me a sense of purpose. And I think for some, I think that's hard to find. It's hard to find, but it's huge. And how do you do that on a daily basis or a weekly basis? One thing,
especially if you're depressed and you're, like your mind's talking about like talking you out of things you used to like, like now it's even hard to go to the gym, but it's good for you. But like, in your mind, when you're depressed, you're just like, no, I don't want to go. And it just keeps on getting worse. Like it plays tricks on you most of the time. Like when you're depressed, and I don't know, it's really a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Just getting up in the morning, sometimes it's hard for people, and especially when you're depressed and you have no interest in anything, like that's hard. That's tough. And to find a purpose after that, that's crazy hard. So you need people in your corner. I think it has a huge deal with, you need positive people in your corner. You need to have friends, you need to speak up when something's bothering you, reach out to a friend when you're having a hard time. I never used to do that.
Yeah.
Ever. I do that now, and like they make me feel like whole, like I feel good again.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
do you feel like
into the habit of doing that, once you get in the habit of doing that, it becomes easier. It's a hard thing for men to do, right? And that's one good thing about the veteran community with, Trash Talk and Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. What we're all trying to do, we're trying to have people start that conversation, right? And I think that starting that conversation is very important. But as we're talking about what we're talking about, I'd like for you to spend some time about when you were going through the desert, and you were it was hot outside, you didn't have communications, and things were kind of going south very quickly. And that video's out on Facebook. Is it on the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation page? I don't know. Anyway,
I'm not sure, but
I don't know. Anyway, it was a moving video, and we talked about that a little bit before the show started. And that video touched me, and I responded to that on Facebook when he was on there. And it's just the raw emotion of having everything go away, that you thought it was this is it. I am going to hit the wall, and I'm no longer going to take a breath on this earth. And then all of a sudden it's not that, right? It changes. But very few people get to, there's a lot of people out there listening that I've been to that point, but I did that by my own hand. It wasn't because of weather or communications or anything like that. It was Cliff Bauman's old self-destructive behavior that got me to that point. So if you wouldn't mind, if you feel free to talk about that a little bit, because, to me, since you've agreed to come on the show, since I met you out in California, I've wanted to hear your take on that video, because it did have a profound effect on me.
It was because I've never had an experience really like that before. I mean, I've been into like life or death situations before, but it was nothing like that. So yeah, I was I think it was Navajo Nation in Arizona, and it was an excessive heat warning. It was an excessive heat warning for like 5 days. So it was like 120, 124, no clouds in the sky. for 5 days. And I don't know if anyone's been to the Navajo Nation. There's not really any stores. I had a Camelback and a couple of water containers, but that was it. So if I ran out, and then I don't see any stores, I'm out of luck, because I also didn't have any cell service to call JC my support. So that day, yeah, I ran out of water pretty quick. So by that time, it was like, I think I had 2-3 hours left of the ride to get to camp. And yeah, I ran out of water. And once I knew that, because I was still hydrated, but I ran out.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm just like, crap, I'll be able to make it. I had all the hopes in the world. I was still being positive about it. Didn't even care, really. Hey, I'm always okay. I'm sure I'll see a store or someone, someone will help me out. Well, no one was on the road pretty much the whole day, because they were doing road construction. It was a detour. So everybody went the other way, but I had to go that way because it was the shortest distance to there. I couldn't do 5 hours.
Right.
So I was on my own, and it was, I don't know the time, but there was a point I was riding, walking, mostly walking, and the sun, biggest thing you'll ever see, no clouds in the sky, just beating down on me. I'm sunburned as hell. Like, it hurts to walk because I'm so sunburned. I'm being, shined on for 8 hours. and I'm just thinking, it just caught me. I'm thinking of Maddox, and I'm crying. I'm crying while I'm walking my bike. I'm just like, shit, I'm kind of saying I'm sorry, because I thought, 2 hours later after I ran out of water, I thought this was it, because no one was riding by. I couldn't, like, when you're in the desert, there's nothing I had no water left in my tongue, my mouth. I was delirious, because I was walking straight and I would go like this.
Wow.
And I'd even stumble, and I'm crying because I really thought I was dead.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of him, and I'm thinking about the mission, with the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. Like, I really just thought I wasn't going to be able to complete it. And I thought this was going to be it. This is the way I'm going to go. It really made me think like that, because I was never without water before.
Right.
I really thought I was going to die. But, like, I'm looking down and I'm crying, and all of a sudden this cloud just comes out of nowhere and blocks the sun. And I'm just like, and I see Maddox, and I don't know how delirious I was, but I just see it. I don't know if my eyes were open or not, but it's like I see him, and I see him smiling, and he's just, I see him smile, and he just made this warm feeling in my body. It just rose me up. It just picked me, like, right up, because he was smiling down on me. It pretty much gave me my hope back for the whole thing. Like, okay, he's watching me, I feel comfortable, I don't feel alone anymore. That was the feeling I got from it. And for like the last hour, 45 minutes, that cloud was pretty much there till I got to the camp, and then
Wow.
It like it wasn't in the water, because I still didn't have water, but it gave me the strength to keep pushing.
Yeah.
I no longer felt alone. Even if I was going to die, I still wasn't alone, and he was smiling down on me. So it gave me the energy of, like, hey, even if I did, like, he knew I put the max amount of effort in this, to honor him, so I kind of felt satisfied, and I kind of was just like, okay, well, if it's my time, it's my time. But I kept going, and I got there, and I'd, like, collapse on the table. JC had to, like, bring me back to life. Yeah. He gave me, like, water, like the coldest Gatorade I've ever had in my life. And yeah, I survived when I probably shouldn't have, because I was out of water for like 3 hours. So
that's crazy.
While biking, it's not like I'm out of water and I'm hiding in the shade on the desert. I'm still working. I'm working, putting in way more calories because it's hot. It's like 120, with no water. Like,
that's crazy.
It's freaking nuts. So it just made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And even if I wasn't gonna die, he was there with me, and he was smiling,
Yeah.
I made him proud, it felt like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a huge moment.
He sent the cloud.
Yep.
So, you know, Kyle, and if anything's going on in your life and it's not what it's supposed to be and you're heading to that dark place, just think about that moment and what you felt at that moment, because, you know, that showed the strength you have inside you to overcome whatever's thrown at you. And just know that he's always there, you know, looking over your back or looking over your shoulder.
Sure. I mean, I know now, like that
Yeah.
was a scary moment. That was one of the scariest moments I've ever had.
It's almost like he was, you know, he's always going to be your brother, but now he's your guardian angel and your highest form of accountability, dude.
Like I thought I was doing things. I thought I was like, you know, trying to do good things for him, and he's the one saving my life.
There you go.
You know, and
how many times,
with
dude?
like with my last one, like he saved my life that time. I was homeless, living in the woods with no hope in the world, just no license because I just didn't renew it. I just wanted everything to end, you know.
Yeah.
And one day I had a dream, and Maddox was in it, and I was having a fire, and that night, and I woke up. I had a huge rucksack. It was like 100 pounds with a $90 pawn shop bike. And I was living outside. And I did a video on Facebook. I think it's on the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation page too. I showed everybody where I was living. It was behind a Kohl's. It was a Kohl's and a Lowe's department store. And I woke up the next morning after, you know, that dream, and I just started right there. I told my ex-wife that this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to visit his grave in Houston, Texas, where he's buried. And yeah, and that's exactly what it did. But that mission right there saved my life. I had no purpose.
Yeah.
None at all. I wanted everything to end.
Yeah.
So
exactly
purpose is freaking huge. Like it's in my, like, the way I think, for me, purpose is everything.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, different things for everybody, but having a purpose is freaking major.
I think everybody needs to have, I think that's why social media is as popular as it is. I think it gives people an outlet and a purpose to do something, whether they're posting videos or doing whatever. But, you know, I'm kind of going to wrap up here, but Kyle, I really, if you wouldn't mind, take a moment. And first of all, I want to thank you for sharing everything that you shared today. And I know it's not easy to talk about those kinds of things. I talk about them. It does wear on you. But, you know, you can always reach out to us. We're always here to talk anytime. Kevin will tell you that I'll answer the phone at 2:00 in the morning. And I've answered and talked to people on social media that I don't even know. They posted something that didn't seem right, or I read something, and I'll reach out to them and just say a kind word, because you never know if you know how that will change somebody's mindset.
Well, and it's just nice to have someone just to listen, just to be like heard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. So,
and a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Hey, so you know, what if I get that phone call? What do you suggest that I do?" Right? And let's say Clickbomb is going to call Kyle at 2:00 in the morning because I'm upset over something. And I tell people this all the time, just listen to them. Sometimes they don't want you to fix their problems. They don't want you to do anything. They just want to have somebody to listen so they can get it off their chest. Right. And sometimes I'll text stuff and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to post something on Facebook, but I'm okay." Right. Yeah. I'm not doing anything, but I just feel like I need to say this.
Yeah, you just want to get it out.
Yeah. And so I just tell people just to listen. But I'd like for you to take a moment to, if you wouldn't mind, talking about the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation and kind of, you know, what it is, you know, what does it do? And people can follow them on Facebook. I follow them on Facebook, Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. You can go to their website. They also have t-shirts you can go out there and purchase. I'm wearing one today. It's almost as cool as Veterans Trash Talk. Mental health warrior t-shirt, almost, but not quite, almost. But yeah, if you want to take a moment, Kyle, if you wouldn't mind, and kind of talk about that if you can, and just kind of let people know what that foundation is and what you guys are about.
Well, I mean, they do it all. I mean, from the first, even before I joined up with them, I mean, they had a huge tornado in Kentucky, and you know, people were suffering. and they're giving furniture, money, you know, checks to these people that had nothing, like their whole lives destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, like from the ride alone, I mean, they get to send 2 people a month from people that are suffering from PTSD to get their neurons like firing over again. I know it's like it's a with some name for it, but I mean, to be able to live a normal life after that, because that helps like thousands, and it's really hard to get that treatment, and they're able to send 2 a month, you know, so they're helping veterans. And I mean, it's huge. Like, imagine like you're suffering huge and it's ruining your whole life, and then all of a sudden, you know, whoa, you're awake, you're awake again, and you don't have none of those problems. I mean, it's so huge. They're changing lives. They're changing people's lives. Yeah. It's not just throwing money at people. Like, that is life changing. Yeah. And those lives that they change, they're changing other people's lives. You know, it's a whole thing. I mean, it's just, I can't downplay that enough. That is the biggest thing there is. And they're saving lives, they're changing lives, they're being a hope for vets out there. You know, you can call them anytime. You know, my LT, he's the COO, and whenever I'm in trouble, especially with the stuff that's been happening once I got back from this trip, I can reach out to him any time of the day. He's helped me so much. I was in a dark hole when I came back. Yeah. That's what they do. They're here for vets. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. But they do it all. Yeah.
And I know that if you go out to their website, ultimatesacrificefoundation.com, you can see the events that they have going on and kind of their mission and what they do. And if you're able to donate, please donate to them. They do a lot of great things for veterans. With that, I'm going to kind of wrap up here, and I'll go around the horn real quick. Kyle, we'll end with you. Kevin, do you have anything else you want to add in?
Actually, yeah, and it came right to me listening to Kyle. And once again, what this shows me is that veterans are a power for good that's going to be unmatched going forward. This is how we're taking advantage of the technological age and the age of information. We're going to regroup on whatever drop zone we find ourselves. But the thing about that is not just the power of veterans. What I'm hearing from Kyle, because we're kindred spirits, I know that Ultimate Sac. I mean, we can name all those foundations. We're not competing. We want the same thing, and what we want, I say we refuse for veterans to become casualties of war after the wars conclude. Yeah. If we can accomplish that together, we can't prevent wars, but if we can get that number to where it's just, again, like Veteran Trash Talk's mission, if we can get that number in line with, you know, civilian suicides, no suicides, be great. But let's just get those numbers down. And I think that's where we're heading, dude. I'm alive. You know, not that I face the challenges you guys face, but from where I was at to where I'm at now, with surrounded by guys like you, Kyle, guys like you, I'm alive, brothers. So let's do some work.
Yeah, definitely. I agree, man. It's all about family, dude, and that's what it feels like. You know, it's nice to reach out to people that care, you know, and are willing to listen no matter what.
That's it.
Well, Kyle, do you have any last words here while we wrap up, or anything else you want to say that we didn't touch on?
Not really. Like I said,
I know you're in Virgin Islands.
Kyle, I do have one more question for you. At what point did you forget you were actually like on some kind of interview, man? Because it always happens on here.
Huh?
So at what point on our podcast did you forget you were actually on a podcast? Because to me, this was like, oh wait, we're recording this. Yeah, man. Wait, you mean people might watch this shit?
I like this.
Nice.
Well, Kyle,
you're welcome. Hey, as the producer and partner to the famous Cliff Bowman, you're welcome back anytime, brother.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
All right, man.
Come on anytime. I'd
love to be back on the show for sure.
Yeah, as a guest host or whatever. It's sure. We have a lot of fun with it. I really enjoy it. If you watch my podcast, I have all kinds of people come on. It's not necessarily military related. I would say, Kyle, try yoga. Find a place and try it. In the Virgin
And I would
Islands.
say don't fart.
And then I'm going to
while
have you
doing
come
yoga.
back on and talk about it.
Well, when I come visit you in Virginia, I'll join in your class.
There you go.
There you go. That'll work. And then
then we can do
we'll
a
make
whole
an
video on
episode out
that.
of it. We'll make an episode
Yeah,
out
let's
of
make a
it.
show.
Hey, Kyle, if you come, I'm blaming the farting on you. Just remember that.
That's fun.
Hey, Mental Health Warriors, I want to thank everybody for tuning in this afternoon. I really want to thank Kyle for taking his time out of his vacation down there or visit down the Virgin Islands. We all need to be down there. Kevin, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join us. I appreciate that. It's anytime you come on the show, I do appreciate all the work you do behind the scenes to make the Mental Health Warrior one of the best podcasts I think out there. I may be biased, but hey, be sure to go out and visit the ultimatesacrificefoundation.com. They do a lot of great events. I know they're having something going on in New York, fundraiser in New York coming up here soon.
Cookout.
Yep. Go out there, look at it. If you're around the New York area, be sure to sign up and go there. You will not be disappointed. Also, I want to say, please go out to VeteranTrashTalk.com, visit all of our podcasts. We have a lot of great shows out there. Be sure to visit our merchandise store, our shop. If you use the code Charlie Bravo 2022, you can get 10% off anything you order. That's my personal code, Cliff Bauman. So it's CB 2022. Thanks again. You guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Rock on.